In my opinion, it is very important, crucially important, to understand how the crypto market phases work and why. And at the end, I'm going to tell you where we are currently in the market. But you've probably seen this a million times. The path to alt season, they call it. And I'm going to give you an exact example as to why this plays out. And you might look at something like this and say, why do people do this? If it's been written out in this form and shown in this graphical form, does this actually happen? And why would it happen that way? Why would everyone do that if they all know that we all expect them to do that? Does it make sense? Well, yeah, I've done it myself and I'm actually doing it myself. But this isn't because someone looks at it and says, oh, this is phase one. I should buy Bitcoin. Oh, now I should buy Ethereum. Oh, now I should buy. No, let me show you that this has been created to model people's behavior. This is what actually happens, and let me show you why. First, I always have to say, I'm a big dumb animal, informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. I do have a school community. Wait till the end. I'll explain all about it. It might be something you're interested in, and I've got links down below. Please do join, like, and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, this will be quick. Let me show you, if we look at this and we say, okay, Bitcoin. Now, we all know Bitcoin is in a 4-year cycle. And we all see the graphs about how there's a bear cycle, there's an accumulation cycle, and then there's this cycle where it just seems to run up. So as an example, here's an arrow on the Bitcoin chart. And if back in, let's say, April, you had, this is around April 11th or April 12th, it had this bottom here. Let's just say that you bought there. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. You bought at this nice drop of 75,000. And it goes up and it's around 120 now. What is that in terms of gain? If we look with this little measuring tool, it's 61% gain. Okay. Now, if you had bought earlier in 2024, just for easy math, let's say around here, it's around 36, 38,000, you would get a 2x going from here to here. And you'd say to yourself, well, I just got a 2x return. That's substantial. Now it's at 76. I have a 2x return. Do I think it's going to go to 152? And now when I say do I think it's going to go, I mean in a short period of time, we're in hopefully a bull run, which may only last 3 months. It may only be 3 to 6 months. It could be really short. So we're not talking about what do I think is going to happen 2 years from now or a year from now. I'm talking about in the next couple months. Do I really think this is going to 2x? Well, maybe. Let's look at Ethereum. At this point in time, when we sold, in theory, we went from 36,000 to like 75, so we made a 2x return on our money. Then we moved and we bought Ethereum around here. Now I'm using these various pricing points to prove a point. But it was around $1,400. And then until today, it ran up to around $4,500. What kind of a gain is that? From there to there is a 228% gain. That's substantial. So if we look at Bitcoin and we say, someone said to themselves, okay, I went from here to here, I got a 2x. What do I think from March 14th is going to go up more? Do I think Bitcoin's going to run up more? Or do I think I should move it into another cryptocurrency like Ethereum, which is the second largest market cap and arguably the best utility coin out there because of so many things that are built upon it? So at that point in time, we would have gotten 60% on Bitcoin if we held it. But if we sold it and rolled it into Ethereum at this point in time, we would have gotten that 200% gain instead of 68. That makes perfect sense. Now you can see why people, when they get a certain gain in Bitcoin or Bitcoin hits a certain price, there are people that say to themselves, the odds of Bitcoin doing a 2x are not as likely as Ethereum doing a 2x. And in this case, it's exactly what played out. We got a 60% gain if we had held Bitcoin from that point to there. We got a over 200% gain from here to here. Substantial difference. Okay, what's the next phase? Well, you look at it and you say, all right, we're up to an all-time high on Ethereum. Now, we want to chase larger returns, right? We got a 2x over there. We got over a 2x here. The market seems to be running. If Ethereum were to 4x from this point in time, what would that be? 4,500, that would be $18,000 if it were to 4x. However, there's other coins. As a matter of fact, there are these altcoins, large cap ones, billions, hundreds of millions, small cap ones, lower hundreds of millions, tens of millions. I wonder about those. I look at one, and I'm just going to throw up two here, but Aerodrome. Aerodrome is in decentralized finance, arguably, in my opinion, one of the most widely adopted crypto industries at the moment in terms of usage is decentralized finance. Exchanges, borrowing and lending, staking for yield, you name it, whatever it is, RWA tokenization, I would say that's in DeFi. So here's something on the Base network created by Coinbase. Coinbase just announced that they're putting this decentralized exchange and they're integrating it into the Coinbase app. That's going to open it up to a floodgate of over 100 million users. It's currently $1.30. Do I think that Aerodrome can 4x? Absolutely. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it did a 10x. But let's just use 4x as an example. We'll stay conservative. So if I say to myself, I think Aerodrome can 4x, and I go to Ethereum, and I say, wow, 18,000 is pushing it. That would be a 4x. What do I think is more likely in a 3 to 6 month period of time? Do I think it's more likely that Ethereum will 4x to 18,000? Or that this will go to what, $5.20, which is a 4x? I think we can all answer that question. It's probably more likely that Aerodrome will get a 4x in 3 to 6 months than Ethereum will get a 4x in 3 to 6 months. I could be wrong, but we're trying to play the odds. We're trying to take our money and move it to the best possible use. It's opportunity cost. So now you can see we just proved why this model works. And personally, I did sell Bitcoin around 80,000. I did move it into Ethereum because I thought it was more likely that Ethereum would 2x it from that point than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's gone to 120. It's about a 50% gain. I lost the 50% gain. I moved it into Ethereum and I've more than 2x my money. It was like 2.5x my money. So I just proved to myself, and I wasn't following this sheet on purpose. I was following the gains. Bitcoin ran, and I thought Ethereum would be a better bet. And now I'm selling Ethereum, and I'm going into more of these coins. I've had these coins for a while. I've also had Ethereum. Ethereum has run way more than these, so I'm moving the money down. So where does that put us at this current point in time? It puts us here. We are literally, in my opinion, in the Ethereum phase of the bull cycle because we just hit an all-time high. It's probably going to go higher. So you might say to yourself, well, why wouldn't you just hold on to your Ethereum? It's probably going to at least 2x, which would be $9,000 or so. Yeah, but if I put it in something like Arrow, or I put it in something like Hedera, or your favorite coin, Ondo, Render, Sui, look at all of those. And if you think they could 4x or more, then you probably shouldn't be holding Ethereum. So this is not some made up graphic on what people do. This just makes sense because it makes good financial sense because of the fact that Bitcoin moves and then people chase larger gains, typically Ethereum, and then they want larger gains and it moves down. And you can see how it actually played out on the charts. From here to here was 60%. People were dumping in this area. They were dumping, probably moving into things like Ethereum. And then instead of 60%, they got 220%. And now they're dumping Ethereum. Or they might continue to hold some of it. I will. I do have a little bit. But I'm going to be selling it over time as it's going up. And I roll in because some of these, I still think there's time to buy some of these small cap ones. So why not let some of my Ethereum continue to run? I didn't sell 100%. I always talk about sell levels. I sold a small percentage of it and I started to do a rotation. And I'm going to keep doing that until these run. And once they take off, well, then it's too late and I'll hold whatever Ethereum I have left. Now listen to the math. We just showed in this case that you may have gone from that 36,000 Bitcoin to 72. So you started with $1,000, for example. You got a 2x return in Bitcoin. So your 1,000 became 2,000. You then moved it, as the chart showed, you sold it at a point in time and you went right into Ethereum. And the charts validated this, that you would have bought, and then if you sold now, you would have gotten a 2 to 3x, somewhere in there. Let's call it a 3x. So your $2,000 moved into Ethereum, and then you got a 3x. That's $6,000. Then you move it into altcoins, and you're hoping for a 4x, which I think is a low, conservative number. So now your $6,000 does a 4x. That's $24,000. Okay, from start to finish, what happened? 1,000 became 24,000. Now you might say to your friends, they'll say, hey, how did you do? I got a 2x, I got a 3x, and I got a 4x. They'll say, oh, that stinks. I got a 10x. And you'll be like, yeah, but I did my 2 to 3 to 4, so I actually got in totality, a 24x. They'll be like, wait, what? How did you do that? Because they may have gone right into altcoins, gotten a 10x return on their $1,000, and they have $10,000. You followed the Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins, and you ended up at 24,000. So the multiplication factor of those gains as you roll them over makes complete sense. I've got many videos on that. Take a listen to the school community. Have a great day. I hope this was helpful. Love how I break things down? Then hop into my crypto school. You'll get step-by-step courses on everything: buying, selling, staking for yield, borrowing, lending, even going fully debanked. Plus, join lively crypto chats and catch my daily market updates. And lastly, if you just want to help support the channel, there's a join button just below this video.